Hi, I'm Michelle Vandepass with thespark.love, and today's topic is about the void. And what does the void mean? For me, it's the place where we can go inside this big emptiness where everything is created, where everything is let go, where you can just breathe and access the magic. It's a place many people go to in meditation or running. It's a place inside of you. It's a place outside of you. However you can resonate and get there is right for you. I started this episode interviewing Sarah from wherestarsgo.ca about what does it mean to go into the magic and how do you go into this place that I call the void. And we ended up talking about fear, the answer to everything, and why I think I suck. So I can't wait for you to listen to this episode. And I look forward to your comments. Thanks for joining me on The Spark. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and iTunes or wherever you get your podcast. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to the show, Sarah. I'm so excited to have you today on our subject. You're the expert guest for our subject, Into the Void. Can't wait to hear what that means to you. People can find out more about your work and your purpose and creativity and all the work you do with guides and so forth over at wherestarsgo.ca. So welcome to Spark. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here.
Yeah. So I don't know a lot about you, but I have a feeling that you can go deep into the void, just the little bit I know about you. I think you're going to be a great expert for today. Tell me first, let's just establish, what does the void mean to you?
Yeah, okay. So when people talk about the void, the way that I interpret that is the unknown. And for a lot of people, what I know the unknown can mean to them is a lot of fear. Because what's going to happen there? We don't know, right? And so the work that I do with people is to actually reinvent their entire relationship to the unknown and actually have them be a master of their own creative process. Because to me, the unknown is actually where creation lives. Anytime you're creating anything, you are entering into that void. So yeah, I work with people to distinguish their patterns as they go through the unknown and then recreate them in a way that actually leverages their creative spark.
Interesting. So for me, the void kind of feels like the infinity, right? It's where anything is possible.
Yeah, exactly.
And so that's an unknown, but it's also a huge opportunity.
Yes.
So I know that fear and opportunity are often the same sides of this fold, right? So how do you help people sort of accept the fear, work through the fear, blast through the fear? Tell me what the approach you take.
Yeah, okay. So, well, there's a couple different pieces to it. I mean, I work extensively in a lot of different ways, but if I had to give it a system, if you can systematize the unknown, which is a little ironic to say, but if you can do it,
Uh-huh.
the way that I think about it with people I work with is around the hero's journey. And there are certain aspects of a journey that you're going to go through. And one of them is actually stepping into the unknown, right? Just declaring that you are going to create something and then taking that first courageous step. That's one of the first things that needs to happen. You enter the unknown. Almost immediately following that, you think to yourself, this was a terrible idea. Right? You're like, I don't want to be here. What was I thinking? This was so stupid. Which is self-sabotage, as we commonly know it. And to me, this is actually one of the most exciting parts of the unknown. Because if we can actually be with that self-sabotage and look at it and sit with the discomfort, that's where transformation happens. And that's when you become the person that you need to be in order to complete what you set out to do. So I work in a way that has us be with the fear, like really truly feel it, and then detach all of the interpretations that you make that fear mean, so that you can be free of them.
Okay. So let's be clear. You and I are talking about this void, this big infinity, the place you can go into where all is possible. It's both fearful and opportunity. But the truth is that can be like tomorrow, because we don't really know what even tomorrow brings. We have in our mind all these things that we think it's going to look like, right?
It can be
But
any second.
right. And so we're really talking about anything that's in the future. And when we're in fear, it's because of the unknown. We don't know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. I mean, I was actually like, even today, I had an experience of it, just with respect to some new directions that I'm taking my business. And I'm like, I don't know if any of them are going to work. And I'm here feeling in my body, like can actually feel butterflies in my stomach and all these other things. And my brain originally interprets it as anxiety, right? Anxiety and fear. And then, or I could be like, they're butterflies. Maybe it's excitement.
Mm-hmm.
I could
Right.
actually make it something else in terms of how I interpret the physical sensation. So that's part of the work I do.
Yeah, it's interesting because my daughter's on stage. She's a teenager and she does stage work. And sometimes she's like paralyzed with fear. And I'm like, it's stage fright, but stage fright is also anticipation. It's excitement, right? And so navigating these feelings can be tricky because our mind plays tricks with us. It plays games with us about what's real.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what's
So,
interesting is the minute you can, sorry, I'm just going to finish it, but the
yeah.
minute that you can actually detach from your interpretation of anxiety and, or whatever it is, fear, and just have the feelings, it actually takes you out of the future and puts you into the present moment and allows you to engage with the moment as it is.
Yeah, it's like no matter how much work we do, how much personal or self-development, how much we study, it's all about coming back to the moment and just breathing and being in
Right?
presence, right? That's like the answer to the universe.
Exactly.
So
And
Sarah,
the great news is we do it without trying anyway. So what are we all worried about?
right. So Sarah, do you mind? I'm going to spring this on you, but can you take me through like a short 30-second or minute process to feel some fear?
Oh, okay. I mean,
Like,
let's see.
like how would I do that in your world? Like, do I have to think of something fearful?
No,
Because
no.
you talked about feeling the fear, like going into it. So,
Yeah. So what I would be asking you is, well, what are you creating? That's the first thing I'd want to actually know. What
like
is your
around my business on purpose or something that I'm creating that I don't want to create.
right? So typically people talk to me in the world of their businesses,
Hmm.
but you can create something unknown in any area of your life.
Hmm.
So I would start by asking, well, what's the thing? What is that thing that requires you to enter the unknown that you're creating? Do you have one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm editing my podcast. I haven't launched yet while you and I are talking in this live interview. And so right now it's a real unknown because I haven't actually launched. I'm revamping my old podcast, relaunching. And so it's a big unknown and I am a little scared. I'm excited and scared.
Got it. Okay, great. And so what are you scared of?
That I'll suck. Right? It will suck. Then people will go, oh my God, what was she thinking? This is not interesting.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right?
Okay, so is it a fear that like you're boring or
I'm boring. I do know I know what I'm talking about. I know I have great guests, right?
yeah.
So but is that enough? Is that enough to hold people's interest?
Excellent, excellent. So just in listening to that, I'm already hearing a few different things, stories about maybe you're boring, maybe you suck, and that maybe what you do isn't enough, which I
Right.
would then take deeper and be like, you as a human being, are you enough? Do you care? Do you have a belief around enoughness, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And what I like to do, like there are a lot of different ways we can work with that. Many people will do this thing where they're like, they believe the lie about not being enough, and then they try to fix that lie.
Yeah. Then you pile it on to overcompensate.
Exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really common thing to do. Doesn't work particularly effectively, or it does until it doesn't.
Until you burn yourself out because you've like overcompensated to death, right? Most
Right,
women at least have done that at some point in their lives.
right. And more importantly, that feeling of not being enough doesn't actually ever go away.
Mm.
So they're still doing it, but underneath everything is still this like inadequate belief, right? Or belief in inadequacy. So the work that you do to pile on top of fixing the lie, it's a lie in the first place, but trying to fix it actually forces it as true. So This is super common. We enter the void. The first thing that's going to happen is all of our fears about ourselves pop up. Like, oh, I must be this way. For me, my story is I'm a bad human being. Like, I am disobeying the universe and I should choose this path, like all sorts of things. I go all weird about it. Anyway, but that's the first thing that will happen is your fears about yourself are actually what you're scared of. You're not scared of the circumstances that may or may not happen out there. It's about you and what you might find out about you. And for me, the thing that I like to remind people of is you didn't come into the world believing that about yourself. Your natural state doesn't even have any sense of this word enough.
Right.
Does that make sense? Like if you were to ask a child, are you enough? They'd be like, I don't understand the question.
Right. Exactly. Right.
Yeah. And so part of what we're doing whenever we enter the unknown is we have this opportunity to almost alchemize these beliefs and burn them away and actually get back to who we truly are in the first place.
Great. I love this. And so I believe you can burn it away through intention, tapping, choosing a new belief, EFT. I mean, there's a million tools. Is there one tool in specific that you like, or do you use an array of things?
Yeah, I mean, there's a variety of things. And if we were just going to pick a simple one, right? Just the simplest one, I would get back to breathing.
Yeah, there we go again. Yeah.
Yeah, like you have that fear, you feel the fear about yourself, and you just allow that fear to be there and you breathe and it goes away.
It does. Breathing is amazing. I know.
Yeah. And then you can realize like, hey, it's actually possible to be scared and okay at the same time. Do you know what I mean? You can be in action and scared.
Yeah, right. Very cool. Very cool. Very cool. I just want to remind people that my guest today is Sarah Khalil. Yeah, at wherestarsgo.ca. She also has this really cool thing, or you have this really cool thing, Sarah, these guides that are archetypes.
Yeah.
And people that know my work know that I have marketing archetypes, and we talk about that a lot. When I work with clients and what kind of archetype are you drawing upon, choose one archetype for me. Like you've got seeker and mother. Choose one and just tell me a little bit about how you work with these guides.
Sure. Okay. So the big picture overall is that these are if you're the hero and you're going on a hero's journey and into the unknown, there are people or guides that you will meet along the way. And these are the guides that I have put forward are the guides that will show up to help you depending on what you're facing. So one of the common things that people face, I think every creator will face this at some point. They go through a phase where they like turn on themselves and they just hate themselves. And they're like, I'm the worst human being on the planet. And it's this, like things don't go right. It's a total breakdown. You stub your toe. And then the next thing you know is just like, what am I doing with my life? This is stupid, blah, right? And it's a very upsetting phase. And I'm kind of making fun of it, but actually being in that moment, there's a lot of self-loathing, tons. This is where I created this mother archetype to come in as the reminder of you're okay, it's okay, there's nothing wrong with you, and it's okay to actually just take a break right now and take care of yourself, and you'll come back to your journey when you're ready. So it's kind of a respite.
So I want to interrupt you for a minute, because when you say mother, I hear at least half my clients going, oh no, right? It's like they're for some segment of the population, that is not a nurturing word.
Well, okay. I have some thoughts about that. I'm not sure how deep to go.
And so I guess what I would invite all our viewers and listeners to do is to tap into the energy, not your personal experience of what your own personal mothering was like.
Absolutely.
Right. So let's just clarify that, because I can hear some of my clients going, oh, no, I can't go there. Right.
And to be clear, the experience here should be one of mothering yourself and actually allowing yourself to love you again, because you're in a phase where you actually hate yourself. So to allow your own self-love back that's the key to this phase.
I love that. So it is really an archetype, and it's about tapping into the energy of what mothering should be if you didn't have it, or could be, or the opportunity to create any mothering experience you can give to yourself. Did I explain that correctly?
I think you did. And it's a tricky phase, because this is the one where you are most likely to reject your own love. So people might think it's simple, right? Like, oh, it's okay, just love myself. No, in this phase, it's so hard to allow love, either from yourself or others. It's truly one of those like isolating, I'm like a piece of crap, I don't belong on the planet kind of thing. So it's a big deal to actually even allow like this much. And when you can do it, it makes a big difference.
And so if I were to take this and just see times when it might have applied in my life, it feels like those are also the times when I'm self-sabotaging in lots of ways, like over drinking, overeating, sitting on the couch, binge watching TV, right? Whatever it is, it's like when you feel bad about yourself, it just compounds and compounds. So I like the idea of self-loving, but sometimes like with my daughter, it's like tough love, like get off the freaking couch and quit eating those cookies, and right? So is there an element of tough love that we have to give ourselves, and how do we break it? How do we let the love in? I guess that's really the question. What can we break to let it in?
Right. Well, so there's a few different pieces to it. So the self-sabotage that you're referring to, I would put in the alchemist phase. So the alchemist is the one that addresses self-sabotage. And they're similar phases because they can feel similar. But in one of them, you're actually capable of addressing the self-sabotage. Like you have the mental fortitude and emotional fortitude to look at it and deal with it, even if it sucks. Versus in the mother phases where it's like it's a total breakdown. And so you're just so upset that they're like emotionally it wouldn't even matter if you got somebody being like, you should just look at this. They'd be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a grieving process too, I think.
It is, yeah. Like often the thing that triggers it is that you think things should be a certain way and then they aren't. And so it's like this cognitive dissonance, and then you just break down in the face of that.
Yeah.
That's all okay. But yeah, I mean, like there are different levels and layers to each of the archetypes. And one of them is the mother who brings some tough love. But first we need to start with actually, okay, can you hear it as love in the first place? Because if you're just going to hear it as a beating, it's not helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
I love this. And it feels like we've gone into the void and we've gone in deeply into the fear. So to finish, I'd like to talk about the opportunity so that we can come out with some hope for these people who are like, I'm in that phase. You didn't tell me how to get out. There's hope here. I mean, I'm sure you've been in these phases. You can't you can't be a woman over like 20 without having gone through it at some point, right?
Totally. Yeah.
So
they're all temporary, so it's fine.
Right. There's hope. You can get out. And the good news is when you go into the void and you look at these things and you really accept where you are, there's huge opportunity for creativity, for being in touch with your purpose, all the things that you and I both are passionate about. So tell me how we can flip this and now move into opportunity.
Oh, I'd love to. All right. So first of all, absolutely, the void, the unknown, this is where the magic happens, truly, right? This is when you have those moments when you feel like the divine is channeling through you and you're like, oh, I can't believe this is only half my work and it's half God, or whatever it is for you, right? This is where this happens. And what I've realized is that of the 10 phases, there are 10 phases as I've defined them, 3 of them are actually very naturally forward-moving, momentum-building phases. Phases where you're moving forward, where you feel great, where you're creative, and where you really have a sense of your own purpose and your own inner light. And those are amazing phases to be in. And then the other 7, if not used correctly, kind of have that like momentum halting phase.
Oh my God.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Resonates in there.
Exactly. And so part of what I want to do in the way I work with people is teach them 2 things. First, how to maximize their own experience of those 3 momentum building phases, how to actually spend more time there and really leverage them. And then on the second thing is when you are in those other 7, how can you, again, leverage them and use them as a way to keep moving you forward as opposed to stopping you? So there's actually hope in all of these phases. It's just a matter of being able to tweak the way you use them and then use them on purpose for something.
Oh, I love that. You can find out more about Sarah and her work with guides and the void and purpose and creativity over at www, of course, wherestarsgo.ca. This has been amazing.
Thank
Love
you.
it. Love your work. And thanks for being our expert guest today.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. I really had a lot of fun, and thanks for your questions.
Thank you for joining me on Spark, the Radically Authentic Life. Don't forget to subscribe, iTunes, YouTube, and everywhere podcasts are found. Find out more at thespark.love.